Good morning, Morai v'Rabotai, Bruchim Habayim. We are continuing on Masechet Makkot, and we are on bottom of Daf Tet, Amud Bet, studying the second Mishnah of the Amud. Today's Amud is being learned on this Chut Refuah Shelema of Sarah bat Minam, Binyamin Eliezer Kohen ben Malka, Zivug for Gilhad ben Mordechai Ariel, healthy delivery for Talia bat Rivka, Datam Parasah for Avraham Raphael, and the week's learnings of the community has been sponsored by the Dayan family, Kohen family, and Shea families. It should be ultimate zchut for them. Today's Amud has specifically been sponsored also for Refuah Shelema of Rachel Simcha bat Nahid, that should have full recovery. Refuah Shelema, Amen. So we're starting the Mishnah. Lehechan Golin. Where do you go to Galut when a person is obligated to go to the cities of refuge? Where are these cities and how many of them do we have? So it says, the Mishnah, Le'arei Miklat. You go to one of the Arei Miklat, 6 of them are available. Le'shalosh shebe'ever HaYarden, or le'shalosh shebe'eres Canaan. 3 of them in eastern side of the Jordan River, in what was known as the land of Sichon and Og, and the 3 other ones that were set up in Eretz Yisrael later after the conquest and the division of Eretz Yisrael. Shneimar et shlosh harim titenu me'ever hayarden. These are explicit psukim talking about Arei Miklat. Et shlosh harim titenu me'ever hayarden. 3 cities that you have to set up me'ever hayarden, the east side of the Jordan River. Ve'et shlosh harim titenu be'eres Canaan Arei Miklat tiyena. Those will be the 6 cities of refuge. At shelo nivcharu, says the Mishnah, until the point that the 3 of Eres Canaan, the 3 in actual Eretz Yisrael premier, would not be set up. Lo hayu shalosh shebe'ever hayarden koltot. The 3 that were on Ever HaYarden also did not work. Yeah, we knew where they were. This is on the last Mishnah that last mitzvah that Moshe Rabbeinu grabbed before passing away, even though that he knew that really the Arei Miklat are not going to be operational, so it doesn't make a difference really if I set them up and choose them and announce them right now versus 14 years from now. But he grabbed the mitzvah, the opportunity of doing a mitzvah, chacham lev, yikach mitzvot, as we're going to discuss upcoming Gemarot. But nevertheless, they were not operational. Moshe Rabbeinu chose those 3, set them up, but they were not operational. If you killed somebody and beshogeg, and the person runs to Arei Miklat, the Goel Hadam could come after him and kill him in Arei Miklat, no problem. Because they were not working, they're not operational. Why? Because the 3 other ones in Eretz Yisrael were not there. They all 6 of them have to operate all together, right? Shenemar, shesh Arei Miklat tiyena. 6 Arei Miklat you should have. Ad sheyihu sheshtan or shloshtan gisav Yerushalmi koltot kechad. Until all of them work together, none of them works. Now, the famous Reb Meir Simcha Midovinsk in Meshech Chochmah, he explains a fantastic insight in why is it that they are interconnected. Why should it be that the 3 in Ever HaYarden, the Jews are living there? I mean, the 2 Shvatim, they were living aside from the warriors that went to Eretz Yisrael to divide and conquer Eretz Yisrael, conquer and divide Eretz Yisrael. They were all staying there. They had Gidrotzon, their families lived there. Why wouldn't he just be able to have the 3 operational as you go on? And says the Meshech Chochmah something fascinating. Says, look, the laws of Torah are Divrei Elokim Chaim. I've been saying this for years, before I saw the Meshech Chochmah, but this adds a significant element to it. You know, in the Western culture, it really comes from the Greek and Roman. You have the concept of enjailment. You transgress something and you end up in jail. Now, what does that help? The guy that you stole from does not recoup his loss. You lose your family. You go into jail with all the certified criminals. Like you did a little something, it's a little wrong because you had no money to eat, so you're forced to bring for your family, and you did what you did. But now you are with all the federal jailers, the murderers and the rapists and all the certified high criminals, and you come out, certified in every aspect of crime, because you spend time with those people. Like the Rambam writes in the beginning of the 6th parak of Hilchot Deot, when you hang out with some people, right, then you become like them. Holechet chachamim yechkam, vero'ek silim yaroa. You become worse. So now you have spent billions of dollars every year on jail system. These people are not productive, and they come out worse than they went in. So you're wasting people's money. People are not getting paid back for what they lost from these people, and you're creating bigger criminals. And in exchange, the Torah doesn't have that. You steal, you work, and the money you make will be given. You sell the person. He'll be with someone of high standing, because those are the people who could afford having, buying or paying for help. And they are the most educated, the most outstanding members of the community. And this person sees them, sees how they deal with their wife, how they deal with their kids. This is probably a person that grew up with a lot of abuse. He never saw a proper parental figure, and so on and so forth. Now he actually sees, he's living with a good, healthy community, family. He sees them, how they wake up in the morning, how they go to sleep, how the Shabbat table is, all those things. Amazing. It's like a serious rehabilitation system. But then, this is all just, we could talk about this forever, like really to show how the current system is broken, and really the system of the Torah is unbelievably genius. But Rabbi Simcha in Masechet Makkot, he adds one, he doesn't say these necessarily, but he says something brilliant. He says, look, when a person goes to Galut, when does he come out? We'll have this. Admot Kohen Gadol. Until the day that the Kohen Gadol is alive, he stays in Ir Miklato, in the refuge city. The moment that the Kohen Gadol dies, he's free to go. It could be one day. It could be a lifetime. You don't know when it's going to be. Now, we have to, that's why the people would daven for the Kohen Gadol to die, and of course the mother of the Kohanim Gedolim would try to offset that by taking care of these people, and so on, which by itself created a support, a mother figure support of community, and so on. But nevertheless, the element is, says Rabbi Simcha, that this person, there's no life sentence. There's no such a thing. Every morning, this person gets up with a hope that his life is going to go back to normal today. And that is what gets people out of the bed, operational, a healthy life of that stature. The person gets up, says, today is going to be the day. Hayom im bekoli tishma'u. It's going to happen. And that is a healthy thing for a person, not to have a life sentence, not to have a 14-year sentence even, to give up hope on life. So says Rabbi Simcha, what happened with Moshe Rabbeinu and the promise that Hashem gave? Hashem gave a promise that Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen and Yehoshua ben Nun are going to conquer and divide the land. So whenever a nevuah comes with a positive message, Chazal say, it's never going to be changed. Hashem he changes the nevuah lera'ah. If there's chas v'shalom a bad decree, you do tshuva, it's ripped apart. But if there is a good nevuah that the Navi gives, it's never going to change. It's a promise that's not going to change. Hashem promises something good, He will do it. So He now promised that they're going to divide the land. What does that mean? That means Elazar HaKohen has a lease on life guaranteed for the next 14 years. And says the Meshech Chochmah, you can't have a sentence. If they go to Ir Miklat, and every morning they don't wake up, knowing that today could be the day that they go back to norm, it's not the sentence that Kadosh Baruch Hu wants. So therefore, the Arei Miklat are not operational, even the 3 of Ever Hayadin, until you have all of the Eretz Yisrael divided, because then is when the guarantee of Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen was basically up, and now it could be a fair game for those who go to Galut. Something so profound, so fantastically genius from the Meshech Chochmah. So says,
I'm sorry, why was he guaranteed to live 14 years?
Because the pasuk says that they're going to be dividing the land. So that means that he's got to be alive to divide it. He can't do it when he's dead. So it comes out that the Nevuah included the fact that he's going to be living until the end of the conquest and the division of the land, which turned to be 14 years, right? Says the Mishnah, "Umechuvanot lahen drachim mizo lezu." And the Betin's job, one of the Betin's jobs was that these cities of refuge had to have pathways to each other and to all the other cities. That means every city in Eretz Yisrael had a path to Arei Miklat. Specific path had to be paved from every city to Arei Miklat, right? To facilitate the connection. As I can't stop by think that these are also Arei HaLeviim. These are the cities of Torah teachers. So you had like facilitated and indirectly as a fringe benefit that the teachers of the Torah are always available. Like every city, every little hick town has a path directly to every city of the teachers of the Torah. Something also to think about. The pasuk says you have to prepare the way, you have to pave the way to Arei Miklat. So it says the Mishnah. And if he is running and the Bedin knows that he's running, or the Bedin is sending him to Arei Miklat, you send with him 2 Talmidei Chachamim on the way, that if the Goel Hadam comes and catches up to him and wants to kill him, the 2 Talmidei Chachamim start speaking with the Goel Hadam, trying to convince him not to kill this person. Right? And Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Meir rather says, Rabbi Meir Omer, Hu medaber al yedei atzmo. He could speak for himself as well. Shenemar v'zeh dvar harotzeach. These are the words of the Rotzeach. Not just the topic of Rotzeach, but zeh dvar harotzeach. That he himself could do the talking as well, trying to convince the Goel Adam not to kill him, because he says, look, I really didn't mean to. This was an accident, and it does not deserve to be washed with blood like this, and so on and so forth. So there will be a system trying to ensure that this person gets to Arei Miklat safe and sound, as we'll see later on. There will be many systems intact in the choice of Arei Miklat and the way the Arei Miklat were operating in a day in and day out manner, and what's available. Can you have a gun shop in Arei Miklat? Right? Can you sell ammunition and klei zayin in Arei? All those things were part and parcel of making sure that these cities are considered safe zones, basically, for the people who are seeking refuge. Rabbi Yossi ben Rabbi Yehuda Omer, B'tchila echad shogeg v'echad mezid, says, any person that kills anyone, initially they go to Arei, they run to Arei Miklat. Even if you kill someone b'mezid, you just run, right? Because this is kind of like putting things on hold for the Goel Adam, for the Mishpacha not to jump in. We want everything to be adjudicated properly, Bidin Torah. So the way you make sure that happens is when someone kills someone, you just go to the safe zone. You run to Arei Miklat, Makdimin la'Arei Miklat, u'Bedin sholchinu mevinoto. Bedin sends the prison guards, whatever it is, they bring the guy back to Bedin to stand trial and be judged based on what has happened and the edim that may or may not have been there. And Mishen itchayev mita bebedin haragu, someone that would get death penalty because they're edim, they saw, it was hatra, and it's proven to be a homicide, intentional homicide, then of course they would be acting upon it, and he would be put to death. And if he didn't, if he got off the hook, it's like it was not a guilty murderous person, then the pataru, he goes home. And if it was exactly the level of shgaga that deserves to go to galut for kapara, then you'll have the two Talmidei Chachamim and the whole system of escorting him back to Arei Miklat. And how do I know, Yossi Bar Yehuda, that we have this whole setup? Because the pasuk says, "Shenemar veheshivu oto ele ir miklato," because it says they would send him back. Heshivu oto ha'eda el ir miklato. The community would send him back to his ir miklat. What does that mean? It means he was there before. So says Rabbi Yehuda, the way it would work is he would run anyways. He would run. You killed someone, b'shogeg, b'mezid, whatever, you run for the hills. But hills being not Beverly Hills, but it will be like the Arei Miklat over here, and then they will take you back and will give opportunity to properly adjudicate the case. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbana, Shalosh Arim, Hivdil Moshe Be'ever Hayarden, Noch Tegedan, Hivdil Yoshua Be'eres Canaan. Moshe Rabbeinu set 3 cities for Arei Miklat in Ever Hayarden, and Kenegdan, corresponding to them, was 3 cities that Yeshua chose in actual Eretz Yisrael, and they were really corresponding in front of each other in the latitude. Says the Gemara, like 2 rows of the vineyard, when you have exact, straight, nice rows in the vineyard. That's how it was. Chevron b'Yehuda keneged Betzer b'Midbar, right? It was Chevron in Yehuda. It was Betzer b'Midbar, Shechem b'Har Ephraim, keneged Ramot b'Gilad. So first of all, Chevron b'Yehuda, you have to ask how in the world Chevron was one of the Arei Miklat. What's the obvious question in this? The obvious, if you learn the Psukim. Chevron was given to who? Right? Pashat HaShavua. This is talking about the Inyan Meraglim and the schar that they got was he got Chevron, right? So therefore it's a problem. How in the world was that Arei Miklat, Arei Leviim, right? So we have to discuss this. The Gemara is going to discuss it later on. And this was Keneged Betzer b'Midbar, is a Shevet Reuben. The Ben Yehoyada, the Ben Ish Chai writes, the reason is because Reuben did tshuva because of Yehuda. So Reuben was counted as one of the Shvatim because of Yehuda, indirectly Yehuda, who was brave enough to do tshuva and to be modeh, right? Sadka mimeni, and take the mantle of tshuva. The Reuben learned from him as well, and indirectly Yehuda was, responsible for Reuben not being cast away from the Shvatim, and therefore in Arei Miklat over here you have Yehuda corresponding to this Reuben to show that Reuben is actually connected with Yehuda in that special way. So it says, and again, of course, what Ben Yehuda doesn't necessarily say clearly is because this, of course, has to do with the process of teshuvah. This is considered an atonement for horek bishkaga, for someone that accidentally killed. So therefore, the teshuvah of Reuben, the teshuvah of Yehuda, really is something that becomes bolet, becomes important. Over here says the Gemara, Shechem b'Har Ephraim keneged Ramot b'Gilad, Kedesh b'Har Naftali keneged Golan b'Bashan. Amazing. So those are the 6 names. Veshilashta, the pasuk that says Veshilashta, because the end of the pasuk that we had over here in the Mishnah was that you prepare these cities. Veshilashta, tachin lecha derech Veshilashta. So what's Veshilashta? It comes from the language of third. Sheyu meshulashin. That they were meshulashin. What does that mean? That means you would divide Eretz Yisrael's rochav, the length, to 4, and you put one of these 3 in each one of them, right? That's how it was. From the northern border to one, and then to the second one, and then to the third one, and to the southern border. That's how the Arei Miklat were set up, which the Gemara is going to discuss. Why not put one on the border, another one on the border, and then one in the middle, which would be probably the simpler way to do it. But the actual way that we did was divide Eretz Yisrael to 4 and put each one of the 3 in one of those points of division of the 4 segments of Eretz Yisrael, which of course would make it that the center of Eretz Yisrael would be the most available for Arei Miklat, because that would be the closest, so to speak, to the 2 Arei Miklat that you have right above it and right below it, which the Gemara is going to discuss as well. So says the Gemara, Sheyehem midarom lechevron kemichevron leshchem, right? Coming from south up to north, from Darom to Shechem would be the same level. Sorry, Midarom to Hebron, which is in south, would be the same as Hebron to Shechem, and from Hebron to Shechem, Kemishechem leKedesh, Umishechem leKedesh would be the same thing as Kemikedesh leTzafon, from Kedesh to the northern border of Eretz Yisrael. So, in other words, you divide it to 4, you put one of the cities in each one. So says the Gemara, Be'ever HaYarden, it would be Tlat. Be'eretz Yisrael, Tlat. Amar Abaye. So, Gemara is asking an obvious question. It says, Eretz Yisrael, as small as it is much bigger than Ever HaYarden. Right? Ever HaYarden is like a sliver. Eretz Yisrael is the whole country. So you have 3 in Eretz Yisrael that suffices for the entire country, and then you have 3 equivalent of that in just a sliver of land in Ever HaYarden. How does that work exactly? Like, if you go after Uchlusia, if you go after the population, should be much less needed in Ever HaYarden, or much more needed in Eretz Yisrael. So it says, Abaye, Amar Abaye, Begilad Shechichi Rotzchim. In Gilad, in Ever HaYarden, there were a lot of Rotzchim. Now, we're going to get back to this, why this is even an answer, because Begilad Shechichi Rotzchim is talking about what type of murder? Not accidental murder, it's talking about actual homicide. So what does that have to do with someone by mistake killing somebody, right? So I'll tell you something very interesting. Who lived in Ever HaYarden? Shevet Reuben, for instance, right? Ragal and Chatzi Shevet Manasseh. So Reuben, that we just spoke about, his sin, so to speak, that he had to tshuva for, was pachaz kamayim al totar. He was fast to act, not thoughtful enough. That was the midah of Shevet Reuven, coming from the ultimate of the Shevet Reuben himself. So when a person is not methodical, is not thought through, when a person is not careful enough and they're fast to act, a lot of accidents could happen as well. Now, that's one area of thinking, that a lot of rotzchim iber beshogeg will happen in there because of the midah of the shevet, something that they have to work on, so to speak. But we'll see there's probably a deeper sense, as the Gemara is going to explain, how HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings about people getting punishments when they need to, and sometimes a person that deserves the punishment will be the subject of an accidental kill. So that will actually answer why Shchichi Rotzchim would actually help the city that has a lot of deliberate kills and murders as well. So says the Gemara, Abaye said, Begilad Shechichi Rotzchim. You have a lot of murder happening in Ever HaYarden. The Chtiv, as it says in the Pasuk, Gilad Giriat Poale Aven Akuva Midam. Gilad was the place, the center of Poale Aven, people who did evil, right? And it was filled with blood. Pasuk in Hosea. So it says the Gemara, My akuva midam. What does it mean, akuva midam? Amar Elazar, shayu okvin la'arog nefashot. They were looking for killing people. This is deliberate kill. You're not talking about some accidental act, but this was evil people doing evil. So says the Gemara. So why is it that in one place you have closer and in the other place you have farther distances? In other words, why don't you just put the way we would do it ourselves, putting the cities the way the border would be, on border, in the middle, and on the other side. So says the Gemara, because the people who are in the middle, again, if you would think about it, if you have 4 points, you divide the whole length to 4, then the 2 of them that are here, right, the people who are in the middle, they would be super close to all the Arei Miklat, and the people who are further on the borderline would be the farthest, basically. So why do you have to make it that the central area of Eretz Yisrael is the closest to all the Arei Miklat? That's basically what the Gemara is asking. Says the Gemara, because of Shechem. Amar Abaye, B'Shechem nami shchichi rotzchim, because in the city of Shechem also there are a lot of rotzchim. Dichtiv, as the pasuk says, Uchake ish gedudim. I'm reading from the side of the Gemara. So also a pasuk in Hosea in the same perek Vav. Chever kohanim derech yiratzchu Shechema ki zima asu. Talks about how Ritzicha, deliberate murder, happened in Shechem, and it also speaks about Zima. Now, I'm not sure if someone says this or not, but you find many times in Tanakh that cities, when something happened in a city, that city becomes the center for that thing. This energy that stays there, and it's specifically said about Shechem, not in this context of Masechet Makkot, but in the context of what repeatedly happened in Shechem. You find Shechem, the first time that we are introduced to Shechem is when Yaakov Avinu has that, and we talk about Zima, immorality. That's of course what happened in the beginning by Dinah, and then them going out and killing the entire city of Shechem, the brothers of Dinah, and then afterwards by Yosef, and they wanted to kill him. That was also in Shechem. They went to Shechem, and then what happened afterwards is all history. But this became kind of like a city. The Gemara says, Abaye said, Shechem is also a central place that a lot of murder happened in Shechem, so therefore lots of people running to Arei Miklat. And of course, the simple answer for the question that we mentioned is that based on Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, that everybody, even a deliberate kill, they would run to Arei Miklat. So even for deliberate homicide, you would have a need for Arei Miklat, just to make sure that the country is not in chaos, that everyone is trying to do their own judgment and going to kill the people who killed their family members. We want the Bedin to be operational. We want the adjudication of the Torah to be really the main system of justice, and therefore you need Arei Miklat in a serious way. That basically, we're still living in the middle, but tomorrow's Amud is going to be just a fantastic pieces of Agadah, probably some of the most amazing and interesting Gemarot in Masechet Makkot, which B'ezrat Hashem we will discuss in the next year. Chazak u'baruch.